What's up, ladies and gentlemen? It's good to see you today on the Speakeasy Show. I ask you to like, subscribe, click that notification button so when I get information out, you can get information in. I have been making a lot of calls today. For y'all out there, know who you are because I've talked to you on the phone today. And yeah, it's been a busy day. We've seen a lot of positive reviews coming back for you all out there that I'm speaking about right now that I've talked to and gone over your loans and modifications with your congressman and their staff today. So hopefully we are still seeing some improvements and movements along. Guys, it really does help when you contact your local congressional district representatives, your congressmen and women in your district. And we are seeing some pretty good fruit from that right now. Not everybody gets approved. I wish they did. One word here real quick to my boy Jason McElhone, because the first game we play in the NFL is against the Cowboys. Devin White's coming for Dak. Devin White is coming for Dak. Hope we don't hurt him again. Go Bucks. But one of the reasons why I find myself doing this for individual sole proprietors and contractors and owners such as yourself, as I've gotten my loan already and I know what I went through to get it, so I can help people out with that as far as my experience personally, but also I can help you. I've been able to help people more through your personal experiences and helping you get involved in each individual, a different basis other than my own, because everybody is, on their own particulars and have their own details of their own business of why they're getting it and why they're not. So it helps me to help you all more and to answer your questions more vividly and more accurately on how to get your EIDL grants and your EIDL loans processed and speeding them up and in time. But once again, I would like to give a shout out to, I won't shout out the congressman's name today on who has been really some troopers as far as the congressmen go out there. There's some troopers out there that really do help quite a lot. Now, if you didn't see the video that I posted for with Rand Paul, Ben Cardin, and Chucky Schumer regarding the bill, what was the bill that he put on the floor for the Restaurant Revitilization Act, which was bill number, drum roll please, what was the bill? S2675, where Cardin is trying to pull the money from the EIDL Grant Loan, and he is trying to give that to the Restaurant Revitalization Program. I'm all for it. Listen, before you thumbs down me on that, I am all for getting the restaurants the money that they should have already gotten. You should have already gotten it. I'm all for that. I'm not all for trying to take it away from the other small businesses who have tried to get their money. I'm all for the restaurants getting it. Now, if this is one way to get it to them faster, then whatever you got to do, I'm okay with that. But as far as the EIDL program, it looks like they're trying to take the loans away from the small businesses outside of restaurants, and they're trying to take those loans and grants away from them in order to fund the restaurants. I don't think that's a good idea. I think they should make more money or reappropriate some money or add more money to another bill. Just add fresh money for the restaurants alone, but don't take away the EIDL grants who you have not gotten to, and the businesses that you said you're gonna give the grants to, and don't take it from them. Make some new money. Put some new money out there for the restaurants out there. Don't just try taking it. What I saw was Cardin and Schumer trying to throw away this EIDL pain that it's been because they haven't been able to do a good job with this, and they're getting a black eye from the EIDL grant program and the EIDL loan program as well. They're just getting a black eye because they have not handled the money correctly. And from what I'm seeing with the loans and stuff that are being processed right now, they're still not handling it correctly. We just had a committee and oversight reform document given to me by Robert Dunham. Thank you, sir. I'm going to show that to you all right here. And it was the Congress of the United States. And what it was the purpose of this letter is to inquire about the current backlog of the IRS. Now, it's they're pretty much jumping on the IRS for being so backed up as far as the 4506Ts go. They're trying to pretty much eliminate the 4506T backlog that they've got. Now, there's nothing scheduled on the Senate floor or the House floor in order to put this up, as the note suggests that they wanted to do this and they wanted to do this now. They wanted to have a committee hearing for it regarding the 4506T requests. And because the IRS they just don't have the people to do it, or they're just not doing it correctly. And these guys are jumping on them, Jody Heiss and Andrew Clyde of the Subcommittee in Government Operations, ranking members. So I'll go ahead and leave a link down below to this file if you all would like to read it. I haven't read it completely, but it looks pretty interesting, and hopefully that can help a little bit with the backlog. Now, I've noticed with a lot of loans that I'm seeing out there with you guys that have gotten it and those who have not gotten, the IRS is just taking your W-2s, or they're taking your 1099s. They are just taking your literal forms and saying, let's go with it. Send me your last 2 years of tax forms directly to a loan officer. Give me an ID. Once you start sending in IDs and voided checks, you're looking good. Is it set in stone? No, it's not set in stone until you DocuSign your agreement. Now, as far as the video that was put up, I would just like to go ahead and nitpick over this, if you don't mind, about the Schumer, Rand Paul, and Cardin.
Senior Senator from Maryland is recognized.
What they had to say about.
Thank you, Mr. President. I rise to speak about the Restaurant Revitalization Fund, and then I will be asking unanimous consent to consider legislation. We included the Restaurant Revitalization Fund in our March legislation on COVID relief. We did that because of all of the industries affected by COVID-19. Restaurants have been some of the most difficult businesses to survive COVID-19. They were ordered by government basically to shut down at the beginning of COVID-19. Then as we started...
Yes, they were. You know, all small businesses were ordered to shut down. Now, the way he's taking a lot of the words we've been using and a lot of the verbalization that we have actually told him, this is what you've done to us, and he's actually using this against the restaurants. He's using it for the restaurants, but kind of to pull from those businesses that are not restaurants. So it's really not just happening. He's explaining this about restaurants, but it's happening to those that are outside the restaurant industry. It's happening to all small businesses, how they told all of us to shut down, and we're having a hard time getting our funds from him, let me mind you, from this guy right here. And he is so hard set on getting rid of this money that he is pretty much excluding all businesses in order just to go forth on the Restaurant Revitalization Fund instead of just giving them the money. I'm going to go ahead and play this a little more.
To make progress, they were at much restricted operations. And even to this day, restaurants are still not up to their full capacity. Their revenues have been very much decimated as a result of COVID-19. We came together in March with bipartisan legislation in order to do something about that. And we included that in our legislation, $28.6 billion of relief for restaurants. Now, what it did is cover some of their revenue loss as a result of COVID-19. It gave them a lifeline to be able to survive this pandemic. And we projected that $28.6 billion would be the need, but we were wrong. We were wrong because COVID-19 was more severe than we thought. Restaurants were more badly damaged than we had anticipated, and there was a great deal of more demand and need than the $28.6 billion. We are now being told by the Small Business Administration that the right number was $71.3 billion, or an additional $42.7 billion that is needed. I've introduced bipartisan legislation to provide this additional authority to the SBA to complete this program. It's bipartisan. My partner in this is Senator Wicker. We're joined by Senator Schumer, Senator Murkowski, Senator Cantwell, Senator Ernst, Senator Sinema, Senator Cassidy, Senator Stabenow, and Senator Hyde-Smith. And I might add, there are many, many more senators on both sides of the aisle that very much support our efforts to live up to our commitment. Now, why do we need to take this up right now? This is a matter of life or death for many restaurants in our community. There's also a matter of fairness. We have two restaurants side by side in the...
Before he goes into this matter of fairness, two restaurants side by side, how about we talk about that policy map where all small businesses were supposed to get a grant? However, two businesses that are side by side, not restaurants, all businesses. And let's go ahead and throw the restaurants in there too. They're a business. They would get the EIDL grant. So all businesses with the policy map side by side or across the street, you're in the wrong address, you don't get that EIDL grant. It's the same way he's trying to explain it, saying they don't get the money because they're side by side. That's exactly what the policy map is that you're using right now. That's your program, Cardin. This is your program, and now you're complaining about your program, and you're not giving the small businesses their money in the because of this policy map. So your policy right now is all you're arguing about, and you're using it for the restaurants only, but you're taking it from all small businesses to try to get to what you need, your surplus on the EIDL grants and loan money. So I just want to say that he is just totally being a hypocrite with what he's saying right now. This guy needs to get out of the SBA. He needs to get out of the SBA. I don't know if he needs to go join Biden in some nursing home or something, but he needs to get out of there because he's not helping.
Restaurants side by side in the exact same circumstances, submitting their applications on the same day, having the exact same need. Both were advised that they would get funding. One got funding before the $28.6 billion was exhausted. The other that was told that they were going to get funding, they won't get funding unless we act.
It reminds me, the restaurants are going through exactly what the rest of the small business world is going through right now. What he's explaining about the restaurants is, it's just heart wrenching to see what they're going through. But he's also not mentioning that the rest of the world or the rest of the United States is going through the same thing because of his policy. It's his policy. And the SBA is looking to take the money from the surplus from what they've done wrong, and they're the ones that have to go with this policy map because he's the one that put the policy map out. It was under his watch.
That's not right.
It's not.
There's a matter of the credibility of the United States Senate and of Congress and of government. We say we're going to do something, we should live up to our commitment.
Well, then let's talk about the CARES Act. $10,000 grants for all small businesses. You want to say something? You're going to do something. He is such a hypocrite on what he's talking about right now. If the world knew what Ben Cardin was really up to and what he's really doing with the money and these words that he's saying, he's talking to himself. You small businesses out there know.
The urgency of getting this done is now. I don't think there's a senator in this chamber who hasn't heard from restaurants in their state about how badly they need these funds and how they thought these funds were going to be in their bank.
Yes, they did. They needed these funds and how badly they thought they were going to be in the bank. But you, sir, got sued. The SBA got sued for discrimination because of the way you were handing out the funds, just like the policy map is discriminatory. You're handing out the funds you're trying to nitpick and choose who you want. So this is your fault. And he's trying to blame it on I don't know who he's blaming it on. He was the subcommittee ranking member of the Small Business Committee last year too, with Rubio. So this is all his fault.
And they're no longer in this bank. I've heard from so many senators directly about this. The urgency is now. And let me just anticipate one other argument that I might hear. And that is, well, where are we getting this money from? Well,
let me just tell you, America, where he's getting this money from. He's taking it from other small businesses outside the restaurant. He's taking it from other small businesses, every other business that you can think of outside of being a restaurant or applied for a specific restaurant. The restaurants need it just as much. But to be taking it from small businesses that could be next to that restaurant, what you're doing now is you're taking it from the person next to the restaurant and giving it to the restaurant. And when you're not even giving it to the person next to the restaurant because they're in a purple zone or a yellow zone or not in a yellow zone. You know what I'm saying, Ben? Or if you don't, then you need to find another job, because what you're doing right now, you're speaking in circles, sir.
Mr. President, legislation before us takes $36 billion
from small businesses.
Takes $36 billion
from small businesses. Do we understand what he's doing? He's taking $36 billion from small businesses, the SBA, who they couldn't give the money out to because of their policy map and their guidelines and their restrictions and their prejudice and their racism, to give it to restaurants who should have already gotten it if they didn't have the racism in there that he got sued for. That's why they couldn't distribute it all. And that's why they had to pull it from other restaurant owners, because another restaurant next to them was white and they were African American or Latino or another color. And next thing you know, they're pulling it away and giving it to the people who were in line first. His policies are not good.
Out of the small business programs, $36 billion. So this is paid for by the rescissions that have been made in these programs.
It's paid for by those of us that are watching, the small business owners that's watching you right now. It's paid for us. It's paid for by us, by our businesses. We are literally saying, you're taking our money and giving it to them, instead of just reappropriating some new money for them.
$36 billion out of the small business programs. $36 billion. So this is paid for by the rescissions that have been made in this legislation that we are considering that's before us today. So for all those reasons, this is a fiscally responsible thing to do. And then lastly, let me say, before I yield the floor to the majority leader,
I can stop right there.
Let me say that we made a commitment to help our small businesses. We did that, Democrats and Republicans working together.
He's digging deeper.
In some cases, we overestimated the dollars that we need. In some cases, we underestimated the dollars that we need. But we always came back and provided the full funding for the programs we've authorized.
No, you didn't. EIDL Grant. What about that program that you authorized? What about that program? You're saying that you funded the money's there for people to get their EIDL grants, but you're not giving it to them because of your prejudice and your discriminatory policy map. So let's call a duck a duck. He's quacking like a duck. He's looking like a duck. And this duck needs to go find another pond to swim in. Get him out of the small business. Get him out of the Senate.
And in total, it's not much different than has previously been authorized. This is a matter of fairness and a matter of absolute need that we provide the extra money now for the restaurants. And before I make my unanimous consent request, I would yield the floor so the majority leader can get the floor.
Well, I thank
majority leader is recognized.
I thank my good friend from Maryland for offering the.
Then Chucky Schumer comes in. The two of the biggest names on the S-4227, passing the S-4227 bill. Two of the biggest names that came out last year and said, we got to get these EIDL grants like we were promised in the CARES Act, because the Republicans didn't keep their promise. Two of the biggest names get in and they come in and they destroy the small businesses as far as your EIDL grants go. They wipe it away.
As you see, and strongly and fervently support it. I've been proud to join Senators Cardin and Sinema in leading the fight to provide direct relief to this industry. We all know restaurants were particularly hard hit during.
Okay, he's just going to go into how restaurants were particularly hard hits, but what he's doing is he's getting up and getting his face on the camera like he likes to do. But the truth of it is, what he's really doing is he's taking money away from all the small businesses out there that are not restaurants, and he's trying to give them to the restaurants. And I'm okay. You know what? If they're going to get it, if the restaurants are going to get it, at least a business is going to get it. I mean, here we are, small businesses. We'll stick together. I'd be willing to sacrifice mine for somebody who needs it more. I'd be willing to do that. Not that I'm not trying to say that there's small businesses out there that need it more than restaurants that have been hit hard. There's small businesses that have been hit harder. But if they need to get it, and this is the only way they can get it right now, and we're not gonna get it any way, shape, or form because they don't mention the EIDL grants at all anymore, because they want it to be gone. They want it to be a thing of the past. They want to wipe this puppy aside and say, hey, let's just hope America gets the promise. And come election time, let's let them know that we remembered the promise. We remembered vividly the promise that you took the money away from us and you gave it to the restaurants. And the restaurants will remember that we remember too. You guys were racist in giving it, racist in taking it, and you finally took it from the other businesses to give to us. So the restaurants are going to say, screw you too. But give it to them. Give it to somebody, because what you're doing right now, what the Senate and Congress is doing right now against small businesses, if this has not been an attack on small businesses, I don't know what is. I don't know. This is just weird, man. It's just crazy the way these politicians don't even have a clue to what's going on. Rand Paul comes in after Schumer and says, no, we're not gonna have it. We're not gonna let this bill go through. So he stops it right there. You got Pelosi stopping it with the other bill as well. So right now, the EIDL grants are still in play. The policy map is still there, and it's not going anywhere because they're not trying to. If they got rid of the policy map, they would be saying, yeah, we screwed up. We agree with America saying that policy map was wrong. It was prejudiced. It was until they get a lawsuit against them, which right now, if they get rid of it, they may not have to get a lawsuit against them because they're not letting us go further to get the grants and exhausting all of our ways and means to get it. So they're trying to tame the fire. They're trying to minimize it, and they're trying to make themselves look good in the process. They're not going to look good no matter how you look at it. It's a big sore black eye for Senator Schumer, for Ben Cardin. Gosh, he has just been the worst. He's got to go. Schumer's got to go. It's just been a big lie fest to the American people about what they're trying to do for small businesses. It's a big lie. Yeah, it's a hoax. It's a scam. And I'm not happy with it. But, you know, we're used to it. We're small business. We're used to taking those blows, and we ain't going to stop fighting back. We got out there. Shout out to Jason McElhone for fighting back. Shout out to Robert Dunham for fighting back. And all the rest of you guys out there, shout out to you all for fighting back. And we're going to continue to fight, and we're going to continue pushing forward on your loans and your grants, and we're going to move forward together. The more we get, the more of us together, the more numbers we get in this, the stronger we become. And we're starting to get very good numbers. So guys, like, subscribe, click that notification button so when I get information out, you can get information in and somebody say, hey, I want my 10K. Somebody, give it to me. Somebody, give it to me. Somebody. Yeah.